You're live?
Yeah.
Gone live?
Yeah.
Okay, we will start, I think. Yasmat jatam jagat sarvam yasminyeva praliyate yenedam dharyate chaiva tasmai jnanatmane namaha Ishvaro gururatmeti murti bheda vibhagine vyomavat vyapta dehaya dakshinamurtaye namaha Taittiriya mayacharya prasadataha vispashtartharuchinam hi vyakyeyam sampraniyate Om Sahana vavatu Sahanau bhunaktu Sahaviryam karavavahai Tejasvinabadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Om Bishasmadvatah pavate Bishodeti Suryaha Bishasmadagnischendrascha Mrityurdhavati panchamayiti Saishanandasya mimagumsa bhavati Yuvasyat sadhu yuvadhyayakaha Asishto dridishto balishtaha Tasyeyam prithvi sarva vittasya purnasyat Sayeko manusha anandaha Te yeshatam manusha anandaha Sayeko manushya gandharvanam anandaha Shrotriyasya chaka mahatasya Te yeshatam manushya gandharvanam anandaha Sayeko deva gandharvanam anandaha Shrotriyasya chaka mahatasya Te yeshatam deva gandharvanam anandaha Sayeka pitrinam chiraloka lokanam anandaha Shrotriyasya chaka mahatasya Te yeshatam pitrinam chiraloka lokanam anandaha Sayeka ajana janam devanam anandaha Shrotriyasya chaka mahatasya Te yeshatam ajana janam devanam anandaha Sayeka karma devanam anandaha Ye karmana devana piyanti Shrotriyasya chaka mahatasya Te yeshatam karma devanam anandaha Sayeko devanam anandaha Shrotriyasya chaka mahatasya Te yeshatam devanam anandaha Sayeka indrasya anandaha Shrotriyasya chaka mahatasya Te yeshatam indrasya anandaha Sayeko brihaspateranandaha Shrotriyasya chaka mahatasya Te yeshatam brihaspateranandaha Sayeka prajapateranandaha Shrotriyasya chaka mahatasya Te yeshatam prajapateranandaha Sayeko brahmana anandaha Shrotriyasya chaka mahatasya Sayaschayam purushe Yascha savaditye Sayekaha Saya evam vit Asmal lokat pretya Etamannamayamatmanam upasankramati Etam pranamayamatmanam upasankramati Etam manomayamatmanam upasankramati Etam vijnanamayamatmanam upasankramati Etam anandamayamatmanam upasankramati Tadapyesha shloko bhavati. The door is closed. Okay. Okay, door is closed. Okay. So we are in this Brahmananda Mimamsa. Fairly a long passage, but a very, very interesting passage. So So starting from Manushya, taking Manushya, and this passage goes to 10 levels up to Brahma. Brahma here means Hiranyagarbha actually. So up to that, and at every level it is comparing the Ananda with that of a Kshotriya and Akamahataha, one who has no Kama, one who is not bitten. Kamanam hataha kamahataha, na kamanam hataha akamahataha. So that is how it comes. One who is not bitten by desire. That is the meaning of akamahataha. So tasya, his. So that is what it is doing. And as we saw in the last class, the whole passage starts in a very systematic way. It first puts a measurement for 1 unit of happiness with 6 conditions. The 6 conditions are Yuva, he must be young. Sadhu Yuva, he is not only young, he is sadhu. Otherwise he will fritter away all the wealth in no time. Or he will smash on the center median one day. One of that can happen. So sadhu Yuva. Adhyayakaha, one who has knowledge of the right knowledge, whatever is required. So that's the third condition. Adhyayakaha. Then asishtaha, one who is quick, one who is industrious, spontaneous, very energetic, quickly can act, think and act and so on. Asishtaha. Then dridishtaha, he is hale and healthy, and balishtaha, he is also muscle power. And tasya prithvi vittasya purna syat. So a person with all these 6 conditions, I think, which is what we saw so that is what we saw. We said Yuva, Sadhu Yuva and Adhyayakaha, these 3 conditions on one side, and Asishtaha, Dridishtaha, Balishtaha. So with these attributes he will win and he is endowed with Prithvi Vittasya Purna Syat. So first Prithvi and the fullness of Vitta, full endowed with money and bhumi and money and all kind of material wealth. So the Shruti started with this, and then it went into these 10 levels which I showed last time. Manushya and then Manushya Gandharva 100 times, because Shatam it goes on like that. Then it goes to Deva Gandharva, then it goes to Pitru, who are the Chiraloka Lokaha, then Ajana Jana Devaha, Karma Devaha, Devaha, Indraha, Brihaspatihi, Prajapatihi and Brahma. This is what we saw last time. So it says, and every time it connected it to the Shrotriyasya cha Akamahatasya. So every time it is interspersing this statement again and again. It says, take that unit of measurement. His measurement is also like that. So this is how we saw. Now I want to clarify a few things about this. It's very important to know. So I want to talk about it in some detail, because this is not fancy. For some people they may think it is a very fancy kind of an idea. It is not. So basically we will see more of understanding of this, but before that there are 3 questions which I think we must clarify before understanding this passage. The first question is, what are these 10 levels? Are they real, or are they imaginary, or a very very figurative kind of a description? Because Shruti doesn't do any of those. People out of ignorance talk all kinds of things about our Vedic wisdom and Shruti. Shruti doesn't do any of those. So the question is it real or imaginary? Is it just a set of Puranic entities, or is it anything else? This question I want to resolve, because we should get this resolved, otherwise we will not appreciate this. The idea is over, 10 power 20, that's not what it is. There is something deeper here. So that is why I want to ask 3 questions and answer them. Second question is, how are they connected to an ordinary human being like you and me? Correct? And we are so much bothered about our day-to-day chores. So how is this actually related to us? This is the second question we need to answer and get ourselves resolved. And the third most important question is there a Vedantic significance to this, or is it a nice looking levels and a fantasy, or even if it is not fantasy, is there a Vedantic, is there a spiritual significance to this? I want to actually talk these three things. Only then this passage you will know the depth of this passage and the meaning of this passage. So much of the answer to these questions, if we have to get, then we have to go back to a very fundamental understanding of what a jiva is. Because without understanding what a jiva is, we will never make sense of it. Because we are all jivas. So the question is, what is this jiva? How are we going to understand the jiva? Because this is inextricably connected to that. So we will first clarify that, because then we will appreciate this. So the first, jiva has a few important attributes to understand. First attribute of a jiva is an individual unit, right, of existence, which has chit shakti. Sentience is there. So, every one of us have a combination of Jada Shakti and Chit Shakti. The Jada Shakti is this Prakriti. These Karmendriyas, Jnanendriyas, the, Deha, all these are all Jada Shakti. It should be wired by Prana. The moment you take the Prana out, you will understand it is a Jada Shakti, but there is a Chit Shakti. So, the first definition of a Jiva, or the first attribute of a Jiva is, can you close this? There is a small gap here. If there is any gap, because okay. So the first definition of a jiva is one which is an individual unit with sentience. We are able to understand it. That's much easier to understand. Then the second thing is, second way to understand a jiva is endowed with what is called kartrutva and bhoktrutva. Every jiva is endowed with that. Kartrutva is that sense of agency, the doing part. Every jiva is having that, no? It's a kartrutva, and there is a bhoktrutva. There is this ability to enjoy the fruits of what we do. When you say enjoy the fruits, it can be plus or minus. Since I use the word enjoy, don't think it is only plus. Enjoy the fruits. Fruits can be adversarial. Fruits can be favorable. I am not at all getting into that domain now. All that I am saying is the second attribute of a jiva is that this jiva is endowed with kartrutva and bhoktrutva. Now how does it work? It works on a tripod. You look at every one of our activities can be put there. Jiva is propelled by desire. Again, I am not telling desire is good, bad, they are all different. This framework cannot be wrong. A jiva is propelled by desire. That desire brings the notion of the kartrutva. And because the jiva engages in an act, it has to get the results. This is a universal law. If you engage in an act, you have to get the result. Don't say I will do act but no results. That's a very imperfect system. That's not possible. So now look at this tripod. There is this desire, and that desire propels me into kartrutva. And since I engage in an activity, there will be an outcome of that. Fruits will come, and I have the bhoktrutva. I will have to consume it. And depending upon the consumption, I may be propelled into the same cycle, or I may choose a different cycle. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, but the fact will remain that the cycle will happen. So there is a desire which propels action. That action leaves a result, and the jiva has to take the result. Nobody can run away from results. That is the bhoktrutva part. And then, it propels the desire again in, reinforcing way or in a counterbalancing way, whatever it is, and then it goes on. So that is why in Lalita Sahasranama, this is so beautifully put. Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, and then Kriya Shakti Swarupinyai. So you have the Ichha. That Ichha of the agency is preceded by Jnana. So I want to achieve something, I find out how to do it, and then I do it. Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, and Kriya Shakti. So, but once we engage in these three, results will come. So this is the second property of a jiva. A jiva is an individual unit of sentience, property 1. Property 2 is every jiva is endowed with kartrutva and bhoktrutva, which is why we are actually engaged in the world of activities. Otherwise, we will never be engaged in the world of activities. Only that jiva which completely lost its kartrutva and bhoktrutva is actually jivan mukta. That will not engage in the activity. It may do something, but it will not engage. Engage means my sentience is engaged. I am intellectually, emotionally engaged. That is the meaning. So a jivan mukta will also engage, but his engagement or her engagement is very different from the engagement of this jiva. This jiva is emotionally, intellectually engaged into this tripod of desire, leading to action, leading to results, leading to desire, leading to action, leading to results, this cycle. This is the second thing. Now comes the third important fallout of this that we have done. And this is where this whole framework will come. The third thing is, it is a universal law. Nobody can again escape from that. It is an universal law that fruits must accrue only to the doer. How can my fruits accrue to you? Or how can your fruits accrue to me? It's not possible. It's a simple, universal law which is a very logical law. Again, I am not talking about plus or minus. We are not, it is blinds neutral on it. I am saying the universal law is fruits must accrue only to the doer, not to somebody else. Fruits of action. What I mean by that is, I stole 1,000 rupees from you. So that 1,000 rupees is with me and you have lost it. So this fruits of my action is not affected. I don't mean that fruits of action. This act that I stole 1,000 rupees, the effect of that must come back to me. I had to pay for it somehow. This is a very universal law. In fact, the entire Hindu dharma, the entire our Purushartha, the entire idea of reincarnation, vasanas and rebirth is centered on this idea. Because if you take, there are Semitic religions which believe in one birth. It's very illogical. You just tell me, just before I die, I unleashed a lot of violence and die. Who is going to take it? It's a very imperfect system, na? Till my last breath, whatever I have done, I have to own it. And if I am not able to own it now, the system must be so robust that it should get me back. And I have to pay for it and go. Nobody can escape. Because if people can escape, it will become an unsustainable system. Where is the motivation to be moral? Where is the motivation to be ethical if this foolproof system is not put in place? So this is called Shraddha. We should have deep Shraddha in this idea. Don't ask me to show verification because it will happen in the next Janma. I can't show it. Pure Shraddha is required to understand this because it is logically sound. Suppose there are 100 people who have committed sin and everybody agrees that a person who has committed sin must be handed out punishment. So let's say later open a counter to give punishment. We are all standing in the queue. I'm figuratively explaining. Suppose before my turn comes, the queue is closed, the counter is closed. Can I run away without getting the punishment? So the counter closing is my death in this Janma. So that's not possible. You have to open the counter again and then I should continue in the queue. In between I can take a break, have a cup of coffee and come back. This is what we do. When they close the counter, instead of standing in the queue, what we do is we go and have a kana, we have some coffee or tea or some samosa and coffee and then come back. So that is what happens between one birth and other birth. We take a break. And during the break, if we have collected some credit points, we will enjoy something and then come back. Anyway, that's a larger framework. So, first of all, the doer of the action must get the results. Now, if you say Punarjanma, then comes another problem. Because the next Janma, it will not be B Mahadevan. It will not be Mahadevan first. Then forget about the initial B. So now the question is, how do you know these two persons are... Now, if you don't argue both the persons are same, then the system is flawed again. Because I do the mistake and you collect the fruits of my action. So now I have to ensure that if the counter is closed, I should be able to come again when the counter is open and I only should receive my punishment or reward or whatever it is. So that is where the reincarnation and the Punarjanma. Now somebody has to keep account of it and then make sure I should recognize you as soon as you come. So these are all the ideas behind So our entire Purushartha and Dharmas are related to this fundamental law. The law is that fruits must accrue to the doer and not to anybody else. So let's travel on this path. If we agree on this, then it introduces a few things for a jiva. First thing is, so we need to take that fruits and enjoy. Nobody else. Whatever it is, plus or minus, I will have to. As you sow, I should reap. Agree to that. Now comes the complications in that. The complications are, in order to enjoy the fruits of the action, I have already done an action. There is a fruit which has accrued. Now I have to now enjoy it, plus or minus. In order to enjoy the fruits of my action, certain conditions are required. Without that, it may be difficult for me. 3 conditions. In order to make sure that I go through the fruits of my action in a foolproof system. First, I need an appropriate medium to consume the fruits. I'll explain it with some Laukika examples so that we understand what this is. Condition 1 is, I need appropriate medium to consume the fruits. Plus means I need a medium for the plus. Minus means I need a medium for the minus. In any case, I need a proper medium, otherwise I cannot. I need appropriate instruments also. Because that fruits may require a certain instrument, with that only I can take it. So I should be now given that instrument. Condition 2. Condition 3, I must have an appropriate place to consume that. Everything must be proper, na? Only then I can enjoy the fruit. It is easy to say enjoy the fruit. I will give you 2 simple examples. The first example is, I have a 1,000 rupee or a 3,000 rupee ticket to enter into TTD. Tirumala you can't go now. I am just generally telling. So much of floods they have closed and all that they are told. But I have, let's say, a 3,000 rupee ticket or a 5,000 rupee seva ticket, which is I am taking the equivalent of a fruit and to tell how the conditions are to be fulfilled. It is very clear that I cannot use the 5,000 rupee ticket and then redeem the ticket in a 5,000 rupee rock show in Bangalore Palace grounds. I can't do it. This is what I mean by the fruits that I have must have a certain condition to consume the fruits. So if I have a 5,000 rupee TTD ticket, then the place I have to consume is TTD, Tirumala, and maybe I need to show my whatever identity, something. I am just saying that with this, in order to enjoy, the point I am making is, in order to enjoy this fruit, I need these conditions are to be fulfilled. Agreed? One more example. Suppose I have a pass to be redeemed to play a video game in Disneyland. I'm just taking one of those theme parks. I have a pass, or I have a ticket or a pass to redeem, which can be used to play a certain video game. Now, that means, in order to consume that fruit, I need it's not only that I go there. I need a terminal and access to that video game software or whatever. Okay, access to the software. I need a knowledge of how to play it or whatever. There are a whole lot of things which you can put it. The jiva has a very similar problem. The problem is no different from this. Problem is, the jiva is a sentient independent unit. It always is triggered by kartrutva and bhoktrutva, and because it entered into the tripod of desire driving action leading to results, now the results I only can take, I cannot give it to anyone else. Now if I have to consume these results, I need the correct place, gadgets and an appropriate means to consume it. This much we can't dispute. Correct? Now, armed with this, then we will move this argument further. So the third attribute which our Shastras, our Shruti and our Shastras first of all says is the third attribute of a jiva is Paralokagami. He will now go to some other world also. Because certain fruits cannot be enjoyed here. Conditions are not there. It's not available. I can't have a 1,000 rupee ticket of something and go somewhere else. So the third attribute of a jiva is a jiva inevitably is a paralokagami. That's why in our scriptures it talks about other world. Because it is like that. So the jiva has to now travel. This is, this is one place it has come. Maybe because it collected, this is where you collect your points. But to redeem it, you have to go to some places now. So this is the third attribute of a jiva. Jiva has to go other than this world because the conditions are simply not here to consume those, to enjoy those fruits, positive or negative. It's not available here. It is available only elsewhere. I have to go there. So the third attribute of jiva is a jiva is one which will always transcend beyond this. This is a fundamental bedrock of our scriptures and Shruti, wherever you read. This is where it is coming. So our scriptures have mentioned it in many ways. We talk of 14 lokas. Now we have created 14 different places where appropriate instruments, context, space, knowledge, everything is available. This is how it is being now put to a formal, explanation of this idea. So there are 6 lokas above us. We are in Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, Suvarloka, Maharloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka. There are 6 above us. Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Tala, Tala, up to Patala. 7 of them, Rasa, Tala, Patala. There are 7 of them below. So that is where the conceptualization of the 14 lokas come. Right? Then the lokas are also differing in many ways. This is one thing to talk in a very Puranic, in a very figurative sense. This is where the whole thing is getting driven. Now these 14 lokas are like this. These are places. What are these lokas at one level? These lokas are places for consuming the fruits of our action. Okay? And the quantum of results that we get and the enabling mechanisms available in these 14 lokas are all graded. Completely graded. That's why the 10 power 2 is only an indicator of it. It's all coming there. So the point that it is making is that this reality is done in such a way that it is completely graded. I was in the ministry attending meetings last week. I find, not only in private sector, I find in the ministry there is a joint director, there is a joint additional director, there is an assistant director, deputy director, senior joint directors, junior joint director. So some 20 levels they have. What are these 20 levels? The 20 levels are graded. This is very much the reality. We can use this word to explain this. It is commensurate to your qualification, your performance, your merit of catching somebody whom you know also. That is also one type of merit. Whatever be the merit, it is commensurate to your merit, your qualification, your experience, your whatever you have brought to the table. You have a graded entitlement now. Graded positions in public sector, in private sector you have AVP, EVP, joint AVP, senior AVP, DVP, BVP, ABVP, everything is there. All kinds of vice president names are there. So this is very much true even there also. So given this, so it is portraying the same reality. The reality is there is a graded set of enjoyment platforms available, and so now it will be mapped to what I bring. So 1000 rupee ticket, go into this counter. 300 rupee ticket, go here. Dharma Darshan, you go here. Same idea. So that is where this is coming now. So this is not a fancy idea. This is a mechanism which is laid out for the sojourn of this jiva. That is what it is. This is a sojourn for jiva, and the sojourn for jiva is such. Sojourn for jiva is such that it will be depending upon the benefits that I bring, the consumption is also graded. So that is where all these are coming. So 10 levels are graded. So coming back to our description, 10 levels are graded in terms of, so these 10 levels that we are talking here, they are graded in many dimensions. a few dimensions, that are all available elsewhere. We are not really getting in there now. The 10 levels are graded in terms of the duration of stay, the quantum of benefits that are going to be enjoyed, the ease and the intensity, ease of enjoyment, and the intensity or the quantum of happiness or bliss that one can get. That is how this whole different entities. So we'll little bit talk about these entities, but this is where it is coming. Now this whole thing is part of a different ways of attaining mukti. So in our scriptures, if you read, there are 2 ways to attain mukti. This is a sojourn of a jiva, and there are 2 ways to attain mukti. One is called krama mukti, another is called videha mukti. So this is actually krama mukti. This path is the path for krama mukti. So in a nutshell, the path of krama mukti is based on the amount of good karmas that an individual does. That individual is now having much graded benefits that they can get. The more and more the benefits that they accrue, they get elevated. So from clerk, I become an assistant manager to finally senior assistant vice president and all that, something like that. So that's called a krama mukti. The krama mukti is a function of the amount of because Veda, 20% of Veda is jnana kanda. 80% of Veda and Shruti is karma kanda. That karma kanda actually portrays, for example, if you do 1,100 Ashwamedas, you will become an Indra. It's a Shrauta karma. It's a karma enjoined in Shruti, in Vedas. If 100 Ashwamedas somebody completes, he will get that position called Indra's position. Because that says the quantum of karma which has left you with positive scope for enjoyment, and that is how all these are coming. So this is part of a krama mukti. So the most important, so therefore what we are saying here is that a manushya, when he starts collecting by good acts of whatever he is doing, then this paralokagami will go to many of these lokas. Because you have to exhaust those fruits, you have to enjoy the fruits. And since it is talking about happiness, the atala, vitala, sutala, patala is not coming here. Because he is only talking about the positive part of it, he is not talking about the negative part of it. The discussion is not there. That's why it is not coming. Otherwise you will have to put some more on the other side and so on. That's not part of it. So here what happens is, these manushyas are in Bhuloka. Okay? So I actually put it in some color. Basically what happens is, the second, this Manushya Gandharva, Deva Gandharva and Pitru Chiralokas are all in the Bhuvarloka approximately. That's the interspace between Bhuloka and Swargaloka. So the third is the Swargaloka. This green color is in Swargaloka. That is the place of enjoyment for that. And they are graded. As somebody was saying, it is like a LIG and MIG and HIG kind of entitlement perhaps. We talked about who is the definitions we saw last class. Who is a Karma Deva, who is a Ajana Jana Deva. Actually, Ajana, this word Ajana Jaha. Okay? In Sanskrit, the ending Ja. The ending Ja is one which is born, Pankaja. One whose birth is in Panga. Panga is actually clay. This mud. Lotus is born there, so it's called Pankaja. The Ja ending is one who gets birth somewhere. Okay? So it is Ajana Ja. Ajana Loka is Devaloka. So Ajana Ja is one who got his birth in Devaloka. That is the meaning of the word Ajana Ja. So Ajana Jaha, Ajana Janam, Devanam. So like that.
Devaloka passport.
Yes, that is, they are born in Devaloka. So that Ajana Jas, there is a difference between the Ajanaja Karmadeva. I mentioned it last class, one definition. The other difference is those who have collected enormous amount of good acts of karma on the basis of what is called Smarta Karya. See, in any karma you do, Prohita, what does he say? He says Srauta Smarta Karma Vihita Yogyata Siddhyartham. This is how he starts. There are 2 types of karma, Srauta Karma and Smarta Karma. Shrauta karma are those which are enjoined in Shruti. The first session of Taittiriya Upanishad, we put it in great detail, the entire knowledge pyramid. Shruti and Smriti. So Smarta karmas are those which are not Vedic, anything other than Vedic. Vedic comes from Vedic. So anything which is not Vedic, but comes out of anything out of Vedic, which is Purana, which is Smriti, Manusmriti, which is Dharma Shastras, which is, there are so many things are there. They are called Smarta Karya. They are called Smarta Karma. So those are all, for example, this Pitru Shraddha that we do is Smarta Karma. They are all enjoined in Smritis and so on. So a lot of these, 40 samskaras or 64 samskaras which are being done, Annaprashna, this, that, all those are Smarta Karma. Shaula and all those, they are all, Vidyabhyasa and all those, Jata Karma, so many, Pumsuvana, Simanda. There are Smarta Karmas. Smarta Karmas are properly done with no expectation of results. You collect a lot of punya and good act. Those people are all those Ajana Jana Devas. Whereas people who are done Shrauta Karma, which is all Yajnas, there are 80% of Veda is lot about karmas, which are all different Aptaryama Soma Yajnas. Ashwamedha. You have, Soma Yajnas, Vajpaya Yajna, so many Yajna Karyas are there. Ishtis, lot of Ishtis are there. So those are all the ones who become Karma Deva. So it all depends on what kind of, there's a whole lot of discussion on that. So then you have much higher, then you become Devas. And there are only 33 Devas. There are 33 crore in Deva Lekha perhaps, but there are 33 Devas. So I have this hierarchy here, we'll see in the next. So here is a hierarchy of entities described here. The hierarchies are Manushyaha, and then the next is Gandharvaha, who are Manushya Gandharva or Deva Gandharva. We saw the definition. At the beginning of the Kalpa, if they become a Gandharva, they become a Deva Gandharva. Or not at the beginning of all that we saw. So they are higher entities because they have a little more punya. They have some magical powers. They have the quantum of their happiness is, as the Shruti approximately says, 100 times more of this biggest happiness that we are talking about, which means they are entitled to more bliss, more ananda, and more of that. Then the third is Chiraloka Lokaha, Pitriloka. That's the third higher entity in this description. Then you have the Devas. In Devas, there are these three categories. Ajana Jana Devas are who came, at the beginning of the Kalpa. Karma Devas are who came in all that thing. And the Devas are only 33, which are 8 Vasus, 11 Rudras, 12 Adityas, Indra and Prajapati. It will add up to 33. It's like, it's like people representative, they are leaders kind of a thing. It's like an MP kind of a thing. One represents 1 million people and he is representative of that. Like that. It is like that. So next level of hierarchy is that Karma Deva is higher than Ajana Deva. Devas are higher than the Karma Devas. In fact, Adi Shankaracharya in his Bhashya gives the definition of Deva is who knows Indra and Prajapati. That's the definition he gives. It's like saying, I know the PM and the Rashtrapati. Something like that. So I am a VIP person now. No meaning, more or less I can pick up a phone or something, whatever. I am only saying there is a graded hierarchy. Okay? So 8 Vasus, 11 Rudras, 12 Adityas, Indra and Prajapati makes it 33. Now within that, the chief of all of them is of a higher, like all the MPs, but then PM is, much higher in terms of the entitlement and hierarchy, power and so on. That's where the Indra. Indra is the next higher entity. That's why exactly in that order it is going. Then Brihaspati is actually the guru of Indra. Chandogya Upanishad, that Virochana and Brihaspati, the last chapter talks about it. 32 years he went and then he asked, who am I? Brihaspati is the teacher of Devanam Guru also. He is the guru of the Deva, so he is on the higher pedestal. Then Prajapati is the lord of creatures. It's called Virat. Prajapati is the lord of creatures, and Brahma is actually Hiranyagarbha, which is the first primordial source which started this origin of the universe. And Adi Shankaracharya in his Bhashya so beautifully says, although here you have gone up to 10 power 20, you have gone like this and gone up to 10 power 20, Adi Shankaracharya in his Bhashya says that Brahmananda that we talking about, which is that Hiranyagarbha's Ananda, which is metaphorically here it is said 10 power 20 times the Manushya's Ananda, is still like a drop of a water than an ocean. The drop of water from an ocean. It's a small part. It's a small part, and the Nirguna Brahman, which is this, in which the origin of universe we talked all that Ananda is a repository. So even this 10 power 20 Ananda is like one drop of water which is part of an ocean. And now imagine the ocean's reach. So like that he was trying to explain, it is still a part. It is still a Kosha Ananda. We talked about Kosha Ananda, it is still a Kosha. It is encapsulated Ananda, not it is like a space here, not the space, not the Mahakasha, it is Gadakasha. The space in the small enclosure is one kind of a space. Space outside is Mahakasha. So these are all up to this is Koshananda only. So the Shrotriyas and Akamahata's thing is still only a Koshananda, not the Brahmananda. That's what this passage is actually. Now this Shrotriya and Akamahata is, Shrotriya is one who is, the word Shrotriya has come from Shruti. One who has completely mastered, lives through the Shruti, which is the Vedic repository, when we are all, Shruti Pramana. So a person who has mastered not in terms of knowledge, but in terms of, internalizing it, practicing it is a Shrotriya, strictly speaking. We use the word Shrotriya in common parlance. Who has learnt a little Shruti, we call him a Shrotriya, but here that is not the context. Such a person will invariably become Akamahataha. So our literature, wherever you see, has plenty of references for Shrotriya, more than Shrotriya, the Akamahata. So I want to bring, scanned quite a few, material. A few I have brought just to tell what is this pedestal on which this Akamahata is there. So our Bhartrihari's Vairāgya Shataka is very well known for these. All these 100 pieces will be very, very strong into this. Vairāgya, it's all about Vairāgya. Vairāgya Shataka, 100 pieces in Vairāgya. I have actually, a few I have shared in the past. Well, let us look at the 71st sloka. Look at what kind of a thing he is writing. See what he is saying. Kim Vedaihi, okay, Smritibihi, Vedai is Shruti. So Shruti is covered in Vedaihi. Shrotraihi, Vedaihi. Smritibihi, the entire Smriti. Purana Patanaihi. He says by reading all these Vedas, Smriti and Purana. Shastraihi Mahavistaraihi. These great Shastras which are so vast and wide. By reading all that, Kim Patanaihi. What happens by reading all these? Right? He says, you know what you will get? Swarga Grama Kuti. He has dismissed them like a small little hut in a far away village. He has portrayed Swarga as a remote village in which you get a small little kuti. That's all. He says, good karma, 10 power 20 I am telling. There is something beyond that. So, Swarga Grama Kuti Nivasa Pala. Holiday resort, Sterling holiday resort, 2 days a year. You paid and then you got a 2 days share. He says it's like that. You can go there, but you will have to come back here. That's why this is called Karma Bhuvi. You have to come here. Even in Karma Mukti, you have to come here and then go back. This is a place where you have to collect your pass for wherever you want to go. So he says Nivasa Paladaihi. Swarga Grama Kuti Nivasa Paladaihi. Karma Kriya Vibramaihi. You are loitering all over the world with karma. I mean, he is dismissing all these good karma like this, just like that. See, from what direction he is coming. He is saying Karma Kriya Vibramaihi. You are loitering all over the place by good karma, you will get a holiday resort for a little time. You can go up to 10 power 20 also, is what he is saying. Then he says, Mukti eva ekam. But please understand, liberation is the only one. Muktvayakam. Mukti from what? Bhava dukkha bara rachana. This world of birth and death and which leads us to sukha and dukkha and this chakra, this endless vicious circle, liberation from there. Muktvaiva ekam bhava dukkha bara rachana vidvamsa kala analam. Kala analam, this fire which is like that kala yama, which means it will perish it once and for all. It will destroy it once and for all. Kala anala. He is using kala anala. Right? And what will it give? It will give Swatmananda pada pravesha kalanam. It will let you enter into your Swatmananda. It is very much here. It is not elsewhere. That mukti is what we should look for. Is what he is saying. Because that alone will do two things. What it will do? It will first perish all these bhava, dukkha, bara, rachana. It will do a dvamsa of that, vidvamsa. It does a dvamsa, which means nasha, using a kala anala. The mukti is the kala anala for doing it, and what it will give? Swatmananda pada pravesha. It will give you that stature to reach and get into the state of Swatmananda. Seshaihi vanik vritti bigi. The rest are all commercial transactions. Vanik. Vanik is a merchant, na? Vanik vritti. You are being a merchant. The rest are all, you temporarily get something, go there and come back, temporarily get something, however big it is. You go there, come back, go back. It is very transactional. You see how he dismisses the whole thing. He says you need Vairāgya. The 100 shlokas will be like this. The entire 100 shlokas, Bhartrihari, if you read Vairāgya Shataka, it will be like that. You see what a Gambhira in which he is trying to bring the Akama Hatha Bhava. Get rid of desires and get rid of dispassion. That can fetch you. These are all, very transactional. Seshaihi vanik vrittibihi. It's like a merchant doing a trade for, considerations. Like that he has dismissed the whole thing. That is the pedestal in which... Now in Mahabharata there are quite a few. So I just picked one or two. This is from Shanti Parva. See what he says. Yaccha kama sukam loke. Yaccha divyam mahat sukam. Mahat sukam is the 10 power 20. Brahmaloka. Mahat sukam is going through this entire path up to that. That is a mahat sukam. Reference is that actually. So yat cha kama sukam loke. Manushya level. The unit level from which we started. Where we enjoy these small little desires. Starting from there. Yat cha divyam mahat sukam. He says it is divyam mahat sukam. Okay. Compared to all that, he says, Trishna Kshaya Sukam. See, the word Trishna, many times I explained this word. I am so fond of this word Trishna. Shankaracharya used it in Bhajagovinda. Manasivi Trishna. Trishna is a wonderful word. Because I have many times explained this. I will keep on saying it again and again. See, Pipasa.
Unquenchable.
A Pipasa, a thirst can be quenched with 2 cups of water, 3 cups of water. Hunger, bubuksha. You can have, if you are more hungry, you can have a few more, half a dozen more idlis. But, we had an idli competition in my college. One of my friends had 53 idlis. So, maybe 53. And the worst part, I never forget this episode. In my college days, which is 30 years back. This fellow was dismissed. He said, you fouled or something, it is dismissed. He didn't. He was dismissed. Another fellow, he had 37 idlis, was pronounced the winner. So he cried. And you know why he cried? That's the interesting part. He said, don't underestimate me. My brother was the idli winner 3 years back. See, never miss, we do this idli eating competition. Once in a year we'll do. And finally we got so sympathetic, we made him the winner actually. He said, we are all parampara winners. You have fouled on me. Anyway, so how much can you eat? Trishna is an unquenchable thirst. There are certain desires which will never quench. He says, if that can be quenched, Trishna Kshaya. The Trishna gets Kshaya. If we can reach that stage, Trishna Kshaya Sukasya Yetehi Na Arhata. If you get, that is the Akamahata stage. Trishna Kshaya is Akamahata. A person who can go there, he says, with that if you compare this Divyam Magat Sukam or this Kama Sukam in the Loke, that he says, Na Arhataha Shodashi Kalam. It is not even 1/16 of that. I mean, there are measures. The point it is making is it is much larger. You should not immediately take 1 by 16. It was not intended for that. What it says is it is a fraction. Nothing like Trishna Kshaya Sukha. All this Sukha is nothing. Is what, the same idea, Bhartrihari, what he says, this is a conversation between, Bhishma and Yudhishthira. Wonderful conversation. Mahabharata, best things are after the war. Book is very big. Wonderful things. Moksha Dharma, Anusashana Parva, Ashwamedhika Parva, I have some sloka, I will show. Best part to read in Mahabharata is that side if you are very this-oriented. If you want story, you have to read the front part. Dharmas you can read. These are all spiritual ideas. Wonderful ideas, plenty of them. Shanti Parva is a lot. Shanti Parva is, I think, some 300 chapters. Very big. It's a huge conversation between Yudhishthira and Bhishma is waiting for his Uttarayana, that time. Some 300 chapters are there in Shanti Parva alone, in Mahabharata. Huge volume. Vivekacūdāmaņi, I have not visited this for quite some time, so I visited this. Look at these two shlokas. One is at the beginning, one is at the end, nearly. Tat Vairāgyam. He gives a definition. Shankaracharya gives a wonderful definition for Vairāgya. Tat Vairāgyam. What is Vairāgyam? He says Jugupsa. Jugupsa is the desire to do or desire to achieve. Okay? It's called Jugupsa. Okay? Jugupsa. Ya Darshana Shravanadibihi. Adi. Adi means ... etal. So Darshana is seeing, Shravana is hearing. What is he saying? Your desire to revel in the sense objects in the world. Sense objects in the world can come from 5 angles. Seeing and hearing are only 2. There are 3 more. That's why Adi, he has said. Shravanadibihi. Darshana Shravanadibihi. Then Dehadi, starting from Dehadi again, ... Dehadi Brahma Paryantam, which is 10 power 20 is Brahma. He says, Dehadi Brahma Paryantam, he Anitya. He says, all these are Anitya. Who said this is Nitya? Brahma will also come one day down. A Brahma Bonan Lokan Punaravartino Arjuna. That's what in chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita Krishna says. He says from worm to the Brahma, A Brahma Kita Janani. In Lalita Sahasranama there is one mantra. One of our mantra is A Brahma Kita Jananyai Namaha. Some 840 or 850th mantra. You will see in between 800 and 900 you will see that. A Brahma Kita Jananyai. Brahma also will be created by, when the Kalpa Pralaya starts. So he says Anitya. Bhoga Vastuni. He says all these are Anitya. Anything which is Anitya, when you are able to take your Jugupsa out, that is called Vairāgya. See the definition he gives. Vairāgya is a revulsion from all things seen, heard, etc. From all transient objects. And what is the definition of transient objects? Up to Brahma, which is Hiranyagarbha. Up to Hiranyagarbha, all are transient. He says, if you are able to keep off from all that, you have got Vairāgya. That's the kind of definition he gave at the beginning of Vivekacūdāmaņi. At the end of Vivekacūdāmaņi, he said, what will happen? What will Vairāgya give you? That is being explained at the end. He says, Vairāgyasya Palam. What is the Phala of Vairāgya? This is too much of a compromise I am making. What is the Phala? Vairāgasya Palam Bodhaha. You get the right knowledge. Don't have Vairāgya, these distractions are too many. You will not capture that ultimate knowledge. So Vairāgasya Palam Bodhaha, Bodhasya Uparatihi Palam, which is developing that sort of distance from everything. Nothing can affect me. It's called Uparati. Okay? Vairāgasya Bodhasya Uparatihi Palam. Then out of that what you will get? He says Swananda Anubhava. The Swa-Ananda Anubhava, which is more than the 10 power 20. Jiva Brahma Aikya is what he is talking about. That is called Jiva Brahma Aikya, which is the ultimate goal that in this country we are all told that is the ultimate goal. Today we have brought it to such a low level. Ultimate goal is become a CEO, buy a farmhouse, I have to buy 2 cars, I have to do this. We have brought to such a low level. Our ultimate goal is Jiva Brahma Aikyam. That is come out of Swatmananda Anubhava. Shantihi Yeshaihi eva Uparatehe Palam. So he says Vairāgya, that's why Vairāgya is, that's why Shotriyasya cha akamaha tasya, happiness will be all these and even more than that. This Ashwamedika Parva. See, towards the end of Mahabharata, Mahabharata stops when Krishna, after 36 years after the war, Krishna is gone. Krishna and Balarama is gone. And the Varshinis are all fighting with one another. We know the story. That's exactly 36 years after. In fact, during Mahabharata war, there were a pair of eclipses within 13 days. One solar eclipse and one lunar eclipse. Because it has to be one solar and lunar only. Because a new moon day and a full moon day. So a new moon day will be solar, full moon day will be lunar. So it is not still clear which one came first, which one came second. 36 years later, Krishna says that I am seeing now a pair of eclipses in 15 days. This shows that this tribe is going to go. All those are coming at the end of, Mausala Parva, it will come after this is there. Just before that is Ashwamedika Parva. In that, when the Ashwamedha Yajna is going to be done, before that, Arjuna and Yudhishthira, Arjuna asks something to Krishna. Krishna talks about what he heard from a Brahmin. There is a Brahmin in turn asked Kashyapa. Kashyapa answered that. Entire story is told. In that, this is coming. So here he says, what he says, you see, because the word Akamahata came here. So that's why I pulled this shloka. He says, Nirmamo nirahankaraha nirashi sarvata samaha akamahataha iti eva satam dharma sanatanaha. That Brahmin was told by Kashyapa. He says, you know what is sanatana dharma? Satam, forever. Eternally, there is these rules of the good. What is that? You should have all these. Nirmama, nirahankara, both are free from egoism. Nirashi, free from expectations. Sarvataha samaha. In Bhagavad Gita it says, Shronichasya Shupakascha, Pandita Sama, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini, Shronisascha Supakascha, Pandita Samadarshinaha. Lot of that is being explained in Bhagavad Gita. That's what it is. Sarvatashamaha akamahataha. Developing that ability to not to be bitten by kama. Right? Iti eva, all these, satam, forever. Dharma, eternal. Sanatana dharma is defined by these. That's what during Ashwamedika, before Ashwamedha Yajna, for the last part of Bhagavad Gita, Moksha Dharma, Anushasana Parva, lots of ideas like these are available there. So Mundakopanişad has 3 chapters. It's so interesting. The Mundakopanişad starts by the first mantra, which says Angirasam, Shunakaha Mahashalaha Angirasam Papracha Kasmin Vijñate Sarvomitam Vijñatam Bhavati. He says the Shunaka Mahasalaha, which means he has a great establishment with him, which means he is materially very, very endowed. Our Manushya, Eka Manushyananda kind of a thing you can keep. He goes to Shaunaka, and then he asks Shaunaka, tell me, Kasmin Vijñate Sarvomitam Vijñatam Bhavati. Tell me, by knowing that, I will be known of everything. This is how the Mundakopanişad starts. Then he says Para Vidya and Apara Vidya, there are 2 types. And all these Vedangas, he talks about Jyotisha, Chandas, in the first mantra, he puts all of them under Apara. He says all these are Apara. That's of no use. Person who knows Para Vidya, like that, it goes on. In the 3rd chapter only Satyameva Jayate and Anritam, all those are there. Our Indian emblem is all there. And this is the last 2 shlokas in Mundakopanişad. It started by telling, I tell you by knowing what known you will be known of everything. See the last 2 shlokas, beautiful shlokas. See what it is saying. They are all very directly understandable. That's why I didn't write English. Saha yaha havaitat paramam brahma veda. Finally concludes. This teacher concludes to Angiras, Mahashala. Please understand that person who knows Param Brahma Veda. He says, Brahma yo Brahma Veda Brahmaiva Bhavati. It's a heavy statement. All these statements are Jiva Brahma. These are Mahavakyas of a different variety actually. He says, Brahma Veda Brahmaiva Bhavati. One who knows Brahman will become Brahman. That doesn't mean you change immediately. That means the Aikya, the oneness is realized. The oneness is realized. Differences may exist, but oneness is realized. That's what it means. He says, Brahma eva bhavati. And then what it says? He says, Na asya. In his kule. Kule is coming later. Na asya abrahmavid kule bhavati. He says, he will be endowed that all the people born in his lineage will know Brahman. That is the kind of credit, endowment he gets. That's what he says. Na asya abrahmavid kule bhavati. And then what happens? Tarati shokam. He crosses this world of shoka. Tarati papmanam. He gets out of all these acts of sin. He crosses all these. Right? Guhad grandibhyaha vimuktaha. You are tied with this knot at in your heart. It's, chidyante atya, 2 weeks back I quoted that mantra. Vidyate hridaya grandihi. Chiyante asya cha karmani. All that is what it is saying. It is saying you will be released of all your limitations. That person will be released. Vimuktaha amritaha bhavati. Gruha grandibhyo vimuktaha amritaha bhavati. Then he says what it says, you see. Final mantra. He says, Tatetat ruchaha abhyuktam. There is a rig which says this. What I am telling you, I will tell you. Tata yesha shloko bhavati. Like that in Mundakopanişad it says, Tat ruchaha abhyuktam. Kriyavantaha shrotriyaha brahmanishtaha swayam juhvata yekarshim shraddhayantaha. It gives the conditions of these people who will go there. Who are these? They are kriyavantaha. Shrotriyaha. They have mass. That's Shrotriya is Akama. The Shrotriya is coming. So they are Shrotriya and Brahmanishta. They are all the time resident on Brahman. The concept of Brahman. Nishta. His thoughts is not wavering. Brahmanishta. Brahmanishtaha. Swayam Juhvata. They do Juhoti. They offer their own sacrifice. Right? Ekarshim. There's a type of fire. There's a type. In Vedic time there are different types of Nachiketa. There's an Nachiketa fire. There's a Ekarshi fire like that. So, Shraddhayantaha. They are endowed with Shraddha. Okay? Tesham eva etam brahma vidyam vadeta. Such people will know this Brahma Veda. And the person who knows Brahma Veda, what happened was told first. Now he says, who will get that Brahma Veda? These are the people. Tesham eva brahma vidyam vadeta. Shirovratam vidvate. So there is a certain thing that they will carry in their, for the ritual and so on, a certain kind of a thing, right? Yes to Chirnam. They will engage only in this activity. So it is Shrotriya and Akamahata who will only be able to not only have all these levels of gradation of either you do good karma and go through karma kanda and go here, or you become a Shrotriya and Akamahata, you can get a Videha Mukti. People like Ramana Maharishi, maybe the closest Ramakrishna were like that. They may be Shrotriyas and Akamahatas. If you go there, that's why it says equivalent to that. Every time Madhya it is coming Shrotriyasya Chakamahatasya Te Yeshatam Indrasya Nanda Shrotriyasya Chakamahatasya. Every time it reminds that they will get, that they will get, that they will get. Now the Shruti is going to say they will transcend that also. That's what is the end of the Anuvaka, which we didn't have time to see. We will see next time. Next week, no class. I am in Delhi. I have some meeting to attend. The week after also no class because I have a 1 week Gita Saptaha which I am doing from 4th to 10th. So therefore 7th also we will not. So we will have unusually we take normally this break during summer time, but we have winter time also now. So we will meet only on 14th. And 21st is our Akanta Gita Parayana. So I thought next 2 weeks we will also put it through. Yeah. You can save it. Huh?
Stopping camera. Post now.
Post.
Publish now.
Publish now.